I can't believe I've been cooking for years without knowing that storing garlic could be this simple. You can actually prepare and store garlic once and keep it fresh, soft, and flavorful for months. No drying out, no sprouting, no waste. Hi friends, it's Nancy. You know the smell of garlic sizzling in a pan always reminds me of home, warm dinners, family laughter, and the comfort of simple cooking. But these days, garlic doesn't last like it used to. It dries, it sprouts, and we end up throwing it away. So today, I'll show you how to turn those fresh cloves into a rich homemade paste that stays flavorful for months, a little kitchen secret that keeps the taste of home alive. Method 1. Homemade garlic paste that lasts all year. If you love cooking with garlic as much as I do, this method is going to change the way you cook forever. To make your own garlic paste, you'll only need 4 fresh garlic bulbs and 1 cup of olive oil. That's it. Start by peeling the garlic and removing any soft or discolored cloves. Make sure your garlic is completely dry before blending. This helps it stay fresh longer. Now, place all the peeled cloves into a blender or food processor. Pour in the olive oil and blend on medium speed. The goal is to get a smooth, creamy texture, not too thick and not too runny. If it looks watery, just add a few more cloves until it thickens. You'll know it's perfect when it looks like soft butter and has a strong, rich aroma. The reason this works so well is that garlic and olive oil are natural preservatives. Garlic contains allicin, a natural antibacterial compound, while olive oil protects it from air and moisture. Together, they form a natural seal that keeps your garlic safe and flavorful for up to 12 months. Once it's ready, spoon the paste into a clean glass jar and seal it tightly. Store it in the refrigerator, not the freezer. Because it's covered in oil, it won't spread any smell, and you'll always have it ready for soups, sauces, stir-fries, or marinades. Whenever you need garlic, just scoop out a small spoonful. It blends beautifully into hot pans and melts into your dishes instantly. Not only is this method practical, but it's also beautiful. The soft golden color and silky texture make it feel like a little jar of homemade treasure. And every time you open it, that rich, familiar scent will remind you of just how comforting simple homemade cooking can be. Method 2. Drying garlic in the microwave. If you've ever had garlic sprout or turn soft before you could use it, all this next method will save you a lot of frustration, and it's so simple, you can do it in minutes. Drying garlic doesn't need any fancy equipment. All you need is your microwave and a few fresh cloves. Start by peeling the garlic and slicing each clove in half. If the cloves are very large, you can cut them into 3 pieces so they dry evenly. Then arrange the pieces in a single thin layer on a flat microwave-safe plate. Try not to overlap them. This helps the garlic dry faster. Set your microwave to 850 watts and heat the garlic for about 5 minutes to start. After that, check the texture and continue microwaving in 2-minute intervals until the pieces are completely dry and crisp. Usually, it takes around 9 to 11 minutes in total. You'll know it's ready when it turns lightly golden and breaks easily between your fingers. Once it's fully dry, spread the garlic pieces on a paper towel and let them cool completely. Then grind them into fine powder using a small coffee grinder or blender. The aroma will fill your kitchen instantly, warm, toasty, and comforting. Store the dried or powdered garlic in a clean, dry glass jar with a tight lid. It will stay fragrant and fresh for months, ready to use anytime in soups, marinades, or your favorite dishes. It's pure homemade flavor, easy, natural, and wonderfully satisfying. If you try this recipe, come back and tell me how it turned out. I love reading your stories. Method 3. Roasted garlic puree. Here's another one of my favorite tricks, roasted garlic puree. It's simple, but the flavor is just incredible. Start with a whole head of garlic and slice off the very top just enough to expose the cloves inside. Drizzle a little olive oil over the top, then wrap it tightly in foil. Bake it in the oven at about 375 degrees for 25 to 30 minutes until the cloves turn golden and soft. Once it's cool enough to handle, squeeze the cloves out. They'll slide right out like butter. Mash them with a fork until smooth, and that's your homemade roasted garlic puree. Store it in a small glass jar in the fridge, and it'll stay fresh for up to 2 weeks. I love spreading this on toast, mixing it into mashed potatoes, or adding a spoonful to soups and sauces. It gives everything that deep, mellow garlic flavor, sweet, rich, and comforting. A tiny bit of this can turn a simple dish into something really special. Method 4. Preserving garlic with salt. If you've ever had a whole bag of garlic and worried it might spoil before you can use it, this is an incredibly simple trick. Start by peeling enough fresh garlic to fill a clean, dry glass jar. Make sure each clove is firm and white. Discard any that are soft or discolored. Next, take a medium-sized bowl and pour in about 1 pound, 450 grams of coarse salt. Avoid fine table salt. Coarse salt works best because it absorbs moisture more effectively. Then grind about 18 ounces, 200 grams of garlic in a food processor. And add it directly to the bowl of salt. Use a fork to mix everything thoroughly until the garlic and salt are evenly combined. The aroma will be strong but wonderfully fragrant. That's how you know your mixture is just right. Spoon the garlic salt mixture into your jar, press it down lightly, and seal it tightly. Store the jar in a cool, dry place such as a pantry or kitchen cabinet. This mixture not only preserves the garlic beautifully, but also becomes a ready-to-use seasoning for everyday cooking. Simple, convenient, and full of homey goodness. This is the perfect way to make sure not a single clove goes to waste. This little trick actually reminds me of my mom. One winter, she brought me a big bag of garlic from her garden, and within weeks, half of it had sprouted. When I told her, she laughed and said, "You're supposed to store it with salt, not just toss it in a drawer." I tried it her way, and it worked perfectly. Now, every time I open my jar of garlic, it still smells like her kitchen, simple, cozy, and full of love. Such a simple little trick, but it makes life in the kitchen so much easier. Take good care of yourself, eat well, and keep your kitchen a happy place. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video with more easy, heartwarming ideas.